Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Airport CEO and welcome back to Belfast International Airport. If you're watching this video as it goes out and you've been following the series as it's been going out so far, then you will be aware that it's been some time since the last episode. Now, if you're watching this way down the line, long after it's come out, feel free to skip forward by about a minute because very brief story time. I have been very sick for 2 weeks, if not a bit more. On the 15th of April, I went to Manchester for a concert. I went to see Ghost, which was fantastic. Highly recommend if you can catch them on their current tour. Absolutely do it. Amazing show. I think I mentioned that in last week's Synergy video. I also mentioned that I was sick in that video, but I know people watch different things, so I think it's worth mentioning here. I have been sick since I got home. I don't know if I got something at the show while traveling or whatever it was, but I have been to see my doctor a bunch of times. I've had a bunch of tests done. I have been on a bunch of different medications. Today is the first day that I feel like I can talk normally. We'll see how that continues. We'll see if that continues, because last week there was a day where I felt fine, and then the next day I was worse again, and I went to my doctor again. So it's been bad. I won't give you all of the details, but I've had headaches that have been the worst that I've had in years. I've had problems hearing. I've had problems breathing, not critical problems, but like my throat's been really rough. My nose has been really, just everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. So that's been my last couple of weeks. And so I'm feeling a little bit better now. I figure we can play some Airport CEO. We might as well pick up where we left off because we have some things to do. And to be honest, between me and you, I really want to play some more Airport CEO. So we're gonna see how this goes. Now, there's two things I'd like to do today. One of them is very small and involves our baggage security space, because I went and had a look at the Airport CEO subreddit, which is relatively inactive because the game really has had no updates in quite a while. But I found a post that I'm pretty sure I've seen before, which had a slightly different idea for how to do security. And it was an idea that I think, like I said, I think I've seen it before. I think I've applied it to different series in the past. It's something I want to do again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to take out this bit of conveyor belt and these 3 bits of conveyor belts. And then I want to go in here with a scanning station. Now, what I'm doing is basically creating a system where anything that goes through one of the automated scanners is always going to be checked by a person at this scanning station. So we're not going to be having any false positives in theory. It can still happen. It's still possible that something gets through that shouldn't get through, but basically everything is going to be checked by a person. And then if I put these conveyor belts in here, anything that gets rejected by this scanner gets checked by this guy before it's either destroyed or sent out to the plane. So there's basically always a second opinion when it comes to scanning all of these bags. We have the automated stuff. We have the manual stuff. It's just going to make things, I think, that little bit more secure. Everything that goes to a plane is checked by a person at least once, and I think that's probably for the best. And so just like that, we have another person in here. We have both of these scanners up and running, and anything that this guy rejects will get sent up that way. Anything he approves will get sent out that way, and we have the automated scanners doing their thing as well. So all things considered, this should be considerably more secure. I would imagine it might fail or falter a little bit when these guys go for a break or swap out for somebody else, but that's fine. That's the slight change that I wanted to make to security. That's the very small change that I wanted to do today, because the next thing I want to do is a lot more involved. Now, as I'm sure you've noticed, we seem to have some problems with planes backing up because of just the general layout of this airport. I've been thinking about how to solve this problem, and I've decided that I want to build a little something all the way down here. I'm not 100% sure that this is going to be super duper effective, but I'm gonna give it a shot. So what I want to do is build myself a couple of medium runways. Now, the way I'm going to do this, I am not 100% sure. I don't know exactly where I want this to go. So I'm going to say, honestly, right here for one of them, and that'll be totally fine. And then what I'd like to do is, in fact, what direction is that runway going? It was bottom to top. That is not what I want to do. I want to go top to bottom. I want the planes to have to taxi up to the top of these runways, and then they, hurtle down towards the bottom here, and they take off in the sort of bottom direction there. So that's not where I wanted it either. I want it to be basically right there is totally fine. There is a little bit of space at the bottom. You know what? I'm going to move it even further up to here. That'll be perfect. So that's going to be runway number 1. And then we want to go in here. I'm going to try and keep the game running while I do this. I want to go in here with some runway ramps that are going to let us get the planes on and off the runway that little bit quicker. So if I put this guy here, that should be totally fine. And if I put this guy, I want to say here, that should be totally fine. When it comes to the top of the runway, do we need to do these ramps again? Are these really going to be necessary? I'm not 100% sure that they are, but I'm going to give it a shot. We're going to put one right there, even though it's kind of badly placed, but that's fine. We're going to put the other one right here. In fact, you know what? I'm just going to use the regular ones for this because I think it's going to look really ugly if I do it that way. So very, very simply, we'll put one here and we'll put one here. And that's going to be access for both medium and small planes to use this runway, which is something that I want to do because there's a little setting in the game that I happen to forget about that you might be aware of, you might not be aware of. It's entirely possible that we both forgot about this. But if we go into our operations and we change things to always fetch nearest runway, basically, if we turn this off, we are now distributing planes evenly amongst the available runways, which means that in theory, it's totally fine to have small aircraft using this runway and then obviously this one as well. It should now split them amongst the runways in a way that makes sense. So that's why over here, I'm going to be having a little bit of fun. Here's what I'm going to be doing. So I want to come in with some more taxiways and I'm going to, oh boy, what am I going to do? Do I want to leave a lot of room between these or do I not? I'm going to be making 3 lanes for my taxiways and I haven't decided how I want to do that yet. I do know for sure that I want the planes to go way down here. They are going to be taxiing to basically the bottom of the map, which is completely intentional. They are going to be taxiing out of this existing spot just up here as well, which, I mean, I can't go through the fence, so we'll just build this as like a little marker. And I suppose that could just go straight down, or I could continue over this way a little bit and then come down so we could move some of this stuff into here and get more planes in here if we wanted to. But the main thing I need to do is I need to get 3 lanes of taxiways and I need to figure out how exactly I'm going to do that. I can attach these. We can have just a huge paved area, but I like the idea of there being some gaps. So I think just to save space, because we are going to be building a lot here, we'll just do sort of the one gap, the one tile gap between these. And this is going to go all the way down to here. And that was, of course, the game got a little bit weird when I was placing that. We need to take out 2 parts of that right about there and then do the same thing again. Now, the next thing I need to do is cross over this part and I need to cross over this part because planes are going to be coming off the runway and cutting straight over to the middle and coming off of here and going straight over to the middle. They're not going to be going to the left side. The idea that I have is any plane that wants to go to the rightmost runway will taxi across and go up here. Any plane that wants to go to the leftmost runway will taxi across and go up here. And then actually this entire middle part we can get rid of because this middle part is going to be how they get out of the runway area, basically. So we will probably want to have something like this, and we will probably want to have something like this because again, that's how planes are going to be getting off of the runways, and that should be totally fine. Although looking at this, I'm so tempted to just use the regular runway ramps because I think it would look better than what I've got going on here with these guys. I do think these look silly. I'll be honest. I do think they look a little silly. They are kind of efficient. Planes can go a little bit faster, I think, but we're just gonna stick with these guys because they just look a little bit better, I think. Okay, so this is what we're working with. We have about 20-ish, maybe 15-ish tiles of clearance at either end of this runway before things cut across. We have the 3 lanes in the middle here that are hopefully going to do good for us. And what I can do, and what I plan on doing, is going in here and making sure that the planes are behaving the way I want them to behave. So this guy, when it's set up, is going to be an exit. This guy is also going to be an exit. So is this one, and so is this one. All of these planes are coming down and then turning. They are not going to be going up here because this only goes back to the runway. So they will cut across and they will use that middle section. Now, what is this? We're going to have to bring in some emergency landing. It's a small aircraft, which is fine. So let me see. Let me go ahead and cancel this flight so that we can clear out that stand, and we will put you, this is occupied by a delayed flight. That's really not helpful. That's not remotely helpful right now. Can we cancel this flight and put the emergency down here? We absolutely can. We'll confirm it, which should keep us pretty good. That'll make everybody happy. So my thinking, the way we're going to do this to make sure that planes are behaving the way we want them to, is we're going to go in here and say that this is going to be set to only allow small aircraft. And this guy is the same, only allowing small aircraft, and it's one way from left to right. This guy is one way from right to left. So that way, the only planes going from here straight across to the middle will be the small aircraft, because this is where they exit that runway. Down this way is a similar story, except it's only medium aircraft from right to left, and it is only medium aircraft from left to right. So that way, medium aircraft will go straight up here. They will, land eventually. They'll cut straight across. They won't be going up here because they can't go that way. And that's going to sort of, hopefully, improve the general flow of traffic is what we're looking to do. I also want to make sure that this is set to be one way going straight up, so no planes are inclined to try and turn around or do anything weird, which, to be fair, they generally don't, but, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. In theory, with the whole, evenly distribute planes thing, this should work out. We're giving a lot more space for planes to taxi as well, which means that they'll be just having more room to spread out and kind of not bunch up like this. This is a thing that happens in Airport CEO, unfortunately. This sort of bunching thing on runways and taxiways, it's just a thing. It's just a thing the game does. I don't think there's anything we can really do about it, but I'm hoping this is going to be a little bit more optimal than what we're seeing over here, especially since we are going to be creating a loop that goes around here. This runway is going to be replaced with a taxiway eventually, and the planes will be forced to sort of loop around before they go straight to their stands. And then we can probably just get rid of this runway as well. We'll just sort of force everyone over to the right side, and that kind of clears up a bunch of space in here for me to do a few things, actually. If I was to go ahead and maybe move this taxiway up to here, I could put some remote, they'd be small aircraft, but I could put some remote small aircraft stands up here. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of thinking I want to do that. I also thought that was a plane taxiing on the part that's not built there, but no, that's that's absolutely not what's going on. Let's give that a shot. Let's see if we can get some remote stands in here. It's probably a terrible idea. We probably don't have the capacity in the airport to really make this an efficient thing to do, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get away with it. We'll play around with it a little bit and just see what happens. That gives the planes a little bit more room apart from each other, which is probably a good thing. I will say this is going to take forever to build. This is going to be a very, very long process. I also think I might need to go in here and take out a bit of fence, or at least put some kind of gate on here, because I'm not convinced there's a way for my workers to get out to that new construction. So we'll put that little gate down there, and eventually, obviously, we'll put fences around this entire thing, but it's gonna take some time for this to get built. It's a pretty big project. Okay, so this took forever. This was a really, really long build process for all of this to be put in here, but it is all done. There are some new hangars going in here. I kind of did this just because I thought it looked interesting and nice, and it was probably not a bad idea to move this hangar away from where it is. I've also sort of missed a spot there with some of the concrete that I want in there. So very, very quickly, I'd like to put down the vintage concrete tile because it has, I don't know, it's got some texture to it. It looks interesting. It looks a little bit more interesting than just the regular concrete tile. So we'll get these hangars built. I've got some lights going in around them as well, which I think will look pretty good. They're still getting clipped by planes every now and then, which I don't love, but I'm not super worried about it. The game doesn't really care too much about it, so I'm not going to care too much about it. I am going to go back into my operations panel though, because I want to make sure that we are now distributing evenly amongst available runways. That is something I turned off for a little bit whilst this was all building because planes were backing up like crazy up this way. But now that we have these new runways, we can make sure that small aircraft are allowed on both of them, and we can go ahead and have both of them open, which means I should now be able to, well, I could turn these guys off. I'm going to wait to turn them off though, because I want to see what happens in terms of flights coming and going. I want to see if anyone goes out that way. I want to see if any planes are interested in using this without me having to be like, hey, go and use this. I have my doubts. That looks to be, and there's a little plane going into that hangar, which is totally fine. We got these guys going up this way. We do have one plane, so he should come off the runway here, go straight across, and then taxi all the way down the middle, which is exactly what we're looking for. So that works, which is good. The problem that we're going to see, and this is kind of where the bunching problem comes in, is that we have some plane back here that wants to taxi up to the top of this runway. We have a couple of them actually, despite the fact that this guy could have gone about 100 times before these guys got around here. He is going to wait for the other planes to go. But this is what I'm talking about. We get a plane taxiing up the middle. We get these guys taxiing out to the runways here. It's very, very cool. This is what I want from this space, and this is going to deal with some of the stresses of the airport. It does have me very tempted to keep these other runways, but I want everything going out there. I kind of want the space is what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to have to, I'm going to turn off this runway. I'm going to turn off this runway. We're going to bulldoze that top runway is what we're going to do. So we're going to demolish it. We're going to be demolishing you and you and you and you and you, and also this runway. So all of this is going away. We are going to need to go in and just get rid of this one-way sign for a little bit, because that's going to let the airport continue to function. It means that planes coming in will be going down here. It's going to be a bit of a mess until we get these taxiways rebuilt once the runways are out of there. The problem is that a lot of oh my God, it's so busy over here. It is so busy over here. There's so many planes taxiing around, which is amazing. The problem is that my contractors are still building the fence around this new extension to the airport. So it might be a minute before this all gets demolished and then rebuilt, but that's okay. We'll manage, probably. I've also just realized I can go in here and build a bit of taxiway right here, which is going to allow the medium aircraft to go straight down here once they taxi into the airport, which I think is going to be for the best. So we're going to build this in here. This space over here should let these smaller aircraft go down this way, which I think is going to be perfect. And I also have a little bit of taxiway just to get rid of right there. Now, hopefully that gets built quickly. Hopefully we're not sitting around forever waiting on all of this coming together so the airport can continue to work. It's going to be a bit of a problem if it doesn't. But I like this. I like this a lot. It's a lot neater than what we had. We do have the planes, you know, heading out and doing their thing. We do have apparently, I mean, yeah, these guys are all complaining still, which sort of makes sense. What are you complaining about? I think there might have been an animal on the on the taxiway there, which, I mean, the fence isn't even finished yet, so it makes sense. I suppose what we can do while we're waiting though is go to this runway and get some approach lights built. We can go to this one and do exactly the same thing. We can build some bird strike prevention systems. I think we'll go here. We'll go here. I don't know if that applies to the other runways, but we'll just put them in here anyway, just to see what happens. We can go in and we can build, what else have we got for runways? We've got these lights. We can convert it to concrete if we want to, which honestly, I might, just because I have the money, I kind of might. What way are they landing? From top to bottom. Now these lights here, if I remember right, the whole thing is like, they're like red if you're I think these lights, I genuinely, I know someone that knows a lot about planes, and they're not going to be pleased that I don't, I say they know a lot about planes. For context, they fly them. It's not just a matter, it's not, they don't know a lot about planes in the way that I know a lot about video games. They know a lot about planes because they fly them. These lights, I think, are to guide you to like the right altitude, not the altitude, angle of attack, maybe, for the runway. Like if you come in too steep, the lights are like red. If you're just right, they're white. I think it's that. I might be making that up. That might not even be a thing, but I think that's what those lights are. But you know what? We'll not worry too much about it. Let's go ahead and convert you to concrete as well. Again, absolutely zero reason to do that. We don't need to have concrete runways, but we might as well. None of this is working yet, which is just great. We do now have a space for people to taxi down here, though. It looks like the airport is up and running, which means we should have a bunch of flights coming into land, which is absolutely perfect. We do have a fox on the taxiway over there, which is a bit of a problem, but once the fence is built, it won't be a problem anymore. You know, I will say this is a really satisfying thing to look at right here. All the planes sort of filtering down and doing their thing. It's very, very cool. I am going to move this little one-way thing right here, though, to the middle rather than right up here, because that's going to actually allow, as we've seen here with some of these planes, it will allow them to come down here and go to these stands while other planes taxi around to get to these guys. It might just make things a little bit more efficient. I'm not sure if it will, but this is working exactly how I wanted it to. I'm so pleased with how this whole little thing has turned out here. I don't really understand why it's taking so long to build the fences and the hangars, but this seems like a good update to the airport. We have more money than I think we started with, which is great. Security is struggling a little bit, which is not great. And just in case you were curious, because I was, this shop has made over $12 million, which is ridiculous. This one, 71,000, which is, I mean, respectable. And if we look upstairs at our restaurant, don't know why I said it like that, we have 444,000. So the restaurant's doing pretty good. This little shop down here is, oh, that's not a shop. That's part of the, that's the kitchen is what that is. That is the kitchen. This place is doing just fine as well. We have people in all of, oh my God, all of the airline lounges have people in them. Quite a few people as well. That's very cool. Oh, I'm very pleased about that. Very, very pleased about that. We have a very busy airport right now, which is amazing. We might want to do something about security. Probably not today. I will say we want to get more. Oh, there's 803 janitor jobs available. We don't like that. Not a fan of that. We want more janitors. I'm not sure 6 of them is going to be enough, but we're going to find out together. And like I said, as we can see already, we do still have the bunching problems with the planes trying to get off of the runways. Unfortunately, it's just a thing. It is just a thing that the planes in this game do. I don't really know how it prioritizes things. It does look like it's clearing out pretty quick though, which is great. So it's not like we're seeing 10 planes stacked on top of each other. It's just a little bit odd that this guy is waiting for a plane that hasn't even left a stand yet. In fact, they both are. They're both sitting over there waiting for a plane to go past that hasn't even left a stand yet. Unless they're bugged, which is possible. It's definitely possible that, like this guy, for example, what are you waiting on? No idea. Could be anything. Could be these guys, actually. Waiting on these guys going past. That actually has me thinking that this little one-way sort of thing that I had going on might not be a good idea. I think we need the planes to loop around properly, unfortunately. So we're gonna just do this, and we're just gonna make this a two-way thing. So they have to loop around properly, and we'll see if that speeds things up. Like I said, the bunching thing with the planes, it is gonna happen one way or another. Like, you know, this guy is now waiting for, who knows? I have no idea what plane it's waiting on for, you know, it to be able to go. But it might be this guy. In fact, it probably is this guy. I'm going to just test this because this plane hadn't even left its stand when this other one had landed. So I'm very curious to see if this is the plane that needs to pass for this this white and green plane up here to get off the runway. And if it is, I just don't understand this game. Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. That just makes no sense to me. I mean, again, this game's not had updates in like 2 years. It was never... The pathfinding in this game has always been weird. One of the big reasons I don't like to rebuild airports is because the pathfinding breaks more often than it doesn't. And I say that with love. I love this game. We've played it so many times over the years. But what I'm talking about specifically, and it's had some fixes, you know, the terminal, being able to assign terminals helps with pathfinding a little bit. But what I'm talking about specifically is the bigger and busier your airport tends to get, the worse the game performs in terms of its pathfinding. It struggles more and more and more to make sense. Like this, why has this plane stopped? No idea. Is it waiting on that guy going past? Nope, it just decided to start going. And as it starts going, where are you going? Oh, you're taking off. I mean, yeah, the pathfinding problems are kind of why you have this bunching thing. Because again, those planes all could have just gone when, you know, they instead of waiting for a plane that's, you know, 2 miles over at the terminal. So it's fine. I say that with love. I love this game so much. I'm having so much fun with it. I'm so pleased this weird little layout that we have going on here has worked. It would just be nice if we didn't have the bunching thing. But anyway, I think what we'll do is leave it there for today. I am not sure what you're complaining about. You're ready to deboard your passengers, but there's no stair truck on the stand. I beg to differ. There's a stair truck right there, fella. Are your passengers boarding not started? Okay. Again, I disagree. Deboarding in progress. There is a stair truck. I'm looking at it. Stair truck's right there. Not really sure what's going on with that one. Maybe we just dismiss the aircraft. We'll just sort of get it out of there and see what happens. That stair truck actually might be, oh no, it's, I don't, what are you doing? What is that stair truck? It's okay. It's zooming everywhere except where it needs to be. Has it now made it to it? There we go. It figured it out. Like I said, the pathfinding and airport CEO gets a little bit weird when you start messing with it, which is certainly what we've been doing today. I think we'll leave it there for today though. I know we didn't do, I mean, we did a lot. We've made a pretty major change to the airport and it does seem to be running a little bit more efficiently. It's just that I feel like we haven't done a lot because technically we only did 2 things, but one of them was small, one of them was a big project. I like how it's turned out. This also gives us a bit more room up this way to play around with like the international airport that I want to build, because that's the thing that we want to do with large aircraft. Still haven't decided exactly how that's going to go. I sort of want to try and avoid what I did in the last series. I like the idea of having sort of specific terminals that are like, here's one building, here's another building, here's another building. They're all sort of separate from each other. But then if people have connecting flights, which I think they do, if someone gets off one flight, like an international flight, wants to catch a domestic one, they're going to have to go from one building to it. Just, the game doesn't, I think I just need to research airports is what I need to do. I will admit, going from one terminal to another, like having to go from one building to another is exactly what I had to do in Manchester. That's not unheard of, and it's not strictly uncommon. I got the train to the airport. The train arrives at one terminal, and the terminal I was going to was like a mile away. So it's just walk through this building and then outside in the freezing cold into this other building. It's, yeah, we might just have to do that. Anyway, that's gonna do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, even though I get sick sometimes, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.